Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Batman Retrospective. I'm Travis Snell. I'm joined by...
Dylan Muss.
Kirkland Patzer.
Jessica.
Yes, pretty much most of the GeekVerse here for the Dark Knight Retrospective, which I'm sure people have been waiting for.
Highly anticipated.
Yes, after we got to get... This is the one I've obviously been waiting through. We got through Batman 66.
Yeah, how many times did you watch it before?
Well, in my life, I've lost count, but this week I watched it twice.
Give us a rough estimate. How many times
like
have you
take a
seen
guess.
it?
Oh, 2008 it came out.
I thought,
And we're on...
I thought like 2000. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I watched it twice every day. No, 2008, and we're in 2016, so that's 8 years.
You probably saw it day of release in theaters.
I saw it 11 times in the theater.
Okay.
11 times.
Yeah,
That's a lot
It's
of
more
money.
times than I've seen, like, any Batman combined. Like,
Like all of them put together?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just because I've always thought about, like, I hopefully one day want to be a filmmaker, and that was the film that really inspired me. Like, that end scene, I know we're dropping to the end, but the end where Gordon does a speech and Batman's speeding off, I remember seeing that the first time and just, like, couldn't move out of the seat. And it was one of those the few times in the theater that everyone around you claps, you know? And I feel like that's when you know, so, like, when we saw Force Awakens, everyone claps. That's when you know, like, everyone's fired up. And it's like, because there's no point in clapping. They're not here. Like, none of the cast are here. They can't hear this, but it's just like, yes! Like, yes! So, like, and that's why I wanted to go so much, because I tried to go a lot at the beginning, and because that happened a lot. So I wanted that, like, you know,
The atmosphere.
yeah, exactly. And I've always said this on the cast, but anybody that didn't see the movie, I was like, I'll go. Like, that's how I saw it 11 times. I seeked every friend out. So if I were to nicely say, let's say I watched it 10 times a year, and that's there's been
So, like,
8
100
years.
times?
I think 100 times, legit.
Wow.
Because 11 times, and then like I'd say 10 times,
Okay.
because it is my go-to
so
movie.
times 2.5 hours. Like, you spend a lot of
Yeah.
your life watching this one
Yeah,
movie.
but it's great when I'm cooking, if I'm doing anything, if I'm working out. Like, there's many times I do, like, when with this, I just sat down and watched, but there's lots of times I do put it on when I'm just doing stuff, because, like, I know it so well. Like, I've said I really want to make a play of this, because I quote every character. I know, like, the lines coming most of the time, and that's why, I kind of know the scene, so if I miss, like, 30 seconds, I know how it's going in my head, so, yeah. Dylan, what did you think? Because this is Dylan's first time. Everyone else had seen it at least once. But Dylan, you had not seen any Batman until like this past month. And now you went from 66
Batman 66.
to Begins, and now you're...
Well, actually, when I did watch Begins, I was like, oh, I have seen like probably half of this
Oh,
movie
right,
at some
yeah, I
point.
forgot about that.
I just didn't really remember it. Well, I mean, obviously, I think this was you and Kirkland's, well, obviously, your like favorite movie of all time on our top 10.
Yes.
And obviously, I've heard so much about it over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a lot of hype for it, and it, I don't know, lived up to the hype. I don't really have like much more to say about it than that, right? Like, it was just a great movie.
That's good, because I worried, because we talked a lot about it.
yeah.
And I was like, Dylan's not
Well,
gonna
that's
like
not
this.
even just you guys, right? Like everyone talked about this movie forever,
Yeah.
and I just never got around to seeing it, apparently.
Yeah, that's good. I had a question, I totally blanked. Someone else said
Yeah, it was awesome though. And like, I remember hearing about when, like the improvised scene when he was blowing up the hospital, how that like actually wasn't scripted. And I remember, or like
You
just
gotta tell
watching.
me, I don't know what...
When he blows up when he's
hospital.
walking out, and he blows up,
And
it-
like the nurse.
yeah, and he goes
Yeah.
like this, and it like explodes, and he's like freaking out. Everything like he improv that. Like in the jail cell when he's clapping with Gordon, like he improv that. Like he did a lot of stuff that's obviously the best thing about
turned
this
into
movie.
the character a little bit.
Yeah, like he really became the character,
Yeah.
which that's what happens when you lock yourself in a hotel room for 2 months, and you just like that is like my crown jewel. He is a diary, and his father has it, but it's all his stuff about the Joker, and his parents like really fucked up stuff in there, and great. Like that's my goal, to one day own that. I want to be rich enough to purchase that. Like that's my holy grail. Like I want that diary so bad. Like 2 months locked in a hotel, he didn't see anybody.
Wow.
Like somebody brought him food, and that was it. Like I want that diary. I want to know what's in there. Like yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like watching it yesterday and then like realizing that was whole improv, I was like, oh, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that movie. It's my favorite movie.
Jessica, what did you think? Because how many times do you think you've seen it? Only a few times, right?
3?
3? Okay.
Oh, not 100 times? Come on.
Not 100.
Filthy casual.
I saw it in theaters, and I watched it once after that, and now watching it right before this cast again.
Yeah.
So it's 3.
Yeah.
I don't have to guess about 100.
Break it down
At least,
mathematically. Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked it when it first came out, and I remember like feeling super hyped about it. But I'm not as into comic books as you are. So I mean, watching it again this time, I was like on my phone, on Facebook. I'm like printing out stuff for school, and like it's still a good movie, but it's just the hype doesn't stick with me
Yeah.
as much as like you and Kirkland.
Yeah.
So, but it is a good movie. I'll be honest, I'll throw it out there now early so people can hate me already, and then we'll get it out of the way. I just really hate Christian Bale's Batman voice.
Okay, but I thought you were gonna say
hockey
Batman.
pants.
I'm like, what, is it just why? Because like lots of people bring this up, and I'm the person that like I like it, but I understand why people don't. Like I like it because it's semi-scary and intimidating, but then you say that's why you don't find it scary.
I don't.
Yeah.
It just sounds bad to me.
Yeah.
You're not the only one. Like, I know people that agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's the most controversial thing about this movie. It's like most people say, like, yeah, it's a good movie. The only thing that is really a complaint is his voice, and that's why. If there's only a few people, I'd be like, oh, it's no big deal. But lots of people feel that way, so I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so lots of people hate the voice.
As your first time watching it, what did you think of his?
Because in Begins,
I think it's different
really...
because I don't have anything to compare it to, right? Other than Batman 66. So, I mean...
But in Begins,
I don't
he
know.
isn't even that growly. Like, if you notice, he's really just like, it's a lower voice in Begins,
Yeah.
but this, he turns it into like, and same thing in the
Like,
next one,
yeah,
Rises.
he
It's
kinda
very
sounds
monster.
like an emo, screamo metal, like... oh.
I don't know. I mean, for me, this kind of sets, like, what he should sound like, you know, since I haven't seen the other ones.
Yes, no, I'm
So,
kidding.
I have no problem with it. No, it doesn't bother me.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, my friend that like doesn't like it, like he's saying, like in the beginning, he didn't mind it at all, or like beginnings or whatever, or sorry, not beginnings, begins.
Yeah, because it's kind of growly, but it's
Yeah.
just more lower.
Yeah,
But see,
but-
and I don't like that one because he sounds
Yeah.
like he's doing an impersonation of other Batmans. Because other Batmans always they would just lower their voice, except for George Clooney. He didn't give a shit. He just talked like he did. But every other Batman is like, this is Bruce Wayne and this is Bruce Wayne, and that's where I like the
You mean
monster.
this is Batman?
Yeah, yeah. You're Bruce Wayne. No, I'm Batman.
Yeah,
But
I think I might be Batman.
Yes, yeah. But continue. I just want you to know, like, it's usually just lower people's
Yeah,
voice.
but
so.
like my friend was saying, like but like after seeing like 3 movies of that, like that he kind of got annoyed with the voice. So
Yeah.
like Batman Rises, that's the last one, right?
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises, yeah. And he's just saying like, yeah, he got annoyed with it.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't really mind. But
Yeah, like, I like it, and I never had a problem it's the same thing people said about Bane. They had a problem understanding the next one. I never had a problem understanding Batman. The only line I did was the hockey pads, and that's
Yeah.
why everyone brings it up, because in the
Hockey
theater...
pads. See, I don't even know.
Because at the one point, when the guys try to help Batman, and he's like, we're
Near
just
the
trying to help, and he's
beginning.
like,
Near
I
the
don't need help, and he's like, you can't do this alone or something, and then he's
what
like...
makes the difference between
Oh yeah, what's the difference between you and me? And he's like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. And then the thing closes. But like that was the only line in the theater I was like, what did he say? Like there were a few times where you have to like really listen. So, but what like, and obviously because I'm doing this as a lead up to Batman vs Superman. What do you feel like his voice should be then as Batman? Like what do you something that like what would you like? Because in the next movie he has the Optimus Prime voice. It's a metallic voice changer. Like, it's kind of less Kylo Ren. And I don't like that because I don't like the...
Do you mean in Rises? Or?
Yeah, and no, in Batman vs. Superman,
Okay.
he has, like, kind of a
See, but that
Kylo
almost
Ren...
makes more sense. I mean, if he's got
I
all
know.
this money and he can do all this stuff and invent all these things, why wouldn't he invent something that can change his voice?
Yeah.
So it's not like, I'm Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You're...
Yeah. Yeah.
What do they ever talk about that in the comic books? Like,
No,
what his voice
it's
should
just,
sound
like, deep and scary. Like, it's never said, like, oh, it's animatronic, anything like
Yeah.
this. It's up to, like, the writers, and there's not a clear, like, this is what his voice sounds, because... They've never it's not you don't have to hear
Dispose
it, right?
my cat.
Yeah.
She
Really
can,
like Batman too, but you know
She can come cuddle.
she liked Dark Knight Rises more because Catwoman. But
Yeah.
the only thing I just worry with the animatronic voice in the next one, like, I won't spend too much time on that, but it's just I worry that it won't be scary at all. I feel like if I hear, like,
See,
I'm
but
not
didn't
scared.
find that one scary.
That's true. I guess that's it.
So for me, you know,
Yeah.
how much it's not going to be any less scary because I found that one comical / annoying.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I guess in that way it all depends, one, how they manage to take it and how they do it, and two, what your opinion of the previous one was, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because I think that will be it, because I liked his voice, and I don't mind... I'll have to say this, like, robotic voices, but I'd rather just the deeper voice. But I guess the thing I like with the kind of monster voice is at least it's disguised his voice. It doesn't... Like, you wouldn't hear him and be like, that's Bruce Wayne, right? That's the
Yeah.
thing, the most thing I like about that. It's... Even the people when they talk deep, it's kind of like, you'd kind of figure it out, I feel like. It's not that changing, but with, like, the super growly, like, you're like, that could be anybody, you know?
Mhm.
So...
And there's George Clooney.
Yeah, just like, hi, freeze.
Yeah.
Like, he literally, that's a line
Yeah.
in Batman and Robin. He just says, hi, freeze. But, other than his voice, how does everyone feel about, I guess we can talk about cast first. How does everyone feel about Batman or Christian Bale?
I liked it. I loved it.
Yeah. Christian
amazing.
Bale's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Love it.
Yeah, I love him. I can't dance around. He's my favorite Batman, and I love him as Bruce Wayne because he doesn't get to do it that much in this movie. There's only a few Bruce Wayne scenes, but when he is Bruce Wayne,
When he shows up on the chopper with all
he has a girl, and then
stuff.
he's really cocky, and then he's
Yeah.
making fun of Harvey Dent in front of everybody, and then even at the first scene when he bumps into Harvey and Maggie John or Rachel at dinner, and let's put the tails together. He's like, I don't think you can do that. Like, oh, they should. Like, I own the place. You know, like that's what I really like, and hopefully we'll see in future generations. Like, Bruce Wayne's supposed to be an asshole, a prick. So you don't think he's supposed to be a terrible human being in the sense that you never pick this guy to go out there and fight justice because he's awful.
Such a dick.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, this guy doesn't care, you know. So that's what I like. Where other Batman movies, it's just kind of Bruce Wayne's a pretty nice guy, you know.
So maybe I'll be put out for this one because I'm a woman and you men are going to have different opinions. Do you find that the chick that they played for is Rachel supposed to be really average? Because I feel like she wasn't like the chick that
No
Bruce
matter
Wayne
what-
brought to dinner. I feel like she was more like kind of like more kind of amazing, like the type that a billionaire would date. I feel like Rachel is played off as kind of
People bring this up all the time about like her attractiveness and whatnot. Because originally in the Batman Begins, it was Katie Holmes.
Yeah.
And then she didn't do it, so they recast her, and Maggie Gyllenhaal did it. And the thing is, some people brought that up. The way I bring it up is if you consider her an average-looking girl, I feel the reason it works is because she's supposed to be like a high school sweetheart in a sense. Like, he's always kind of been in love with her. They've known each other since kids, and they kind of dated a little bit
okay.
as
So she
teens.
is supposed to kind of be like.
Yeah, like all
they've
throughout
had
his
that
life.
connection.
Yeah,
It's not like
it's not just like this girl
this
he's pining
billionaire
after. Yeah.
chick that okay.
Yeah, so it's just been like always.
That's why I said I'd probably have a different opinion because I'm a girl looking at a girl. And
Well,
you
in
guys-
Batman Begins, there's like a bunch of scenes with them, and they're like kids together.
Mhm.
Like they've known each other forever. right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Batman Begins, so.
Did you knew right away though that did I tell you they recast?
You told me
okay,
they
good.
recast, so I saw it coming, but I probably would have been confused at first.
Yeah.
If I didn't know that.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But I'm glad they recast too.
Yeah, she's much better. Like that, I really like her as an actress, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Like she does really good. I like her romance with Harvey because it feels natural. Like they're both lawyers, they're both working for the same goal, and they have. And I think they do it on purpose. She almost has better chemistry with Harvey than Batman because I like that at the end she pretty much decides like I'm not going to be with you, and you kind of get that vibe throughout the whole movie where he's like, oh, I'm going to stop being Batman for you, but she's kind of like, don't worry about it, but he's always like, no, I'm going to give it up for you, and she's like, no, like, like, you'll be fine, just keep being Batman, or like, I don't know if when she drops the line, like, oh, they won't let us be together, it's like, no, just because you don't want to be with them, kind of in a way,
Friend zone.
Yeah, pretty much, it's when that thing, like, too late, and they set that up in the first movie of, like, oh yeah, when you're done being Batman, but it's like, it's been a year and a half later, and it's like, you could only wait so long, right? And she also, like, loves this guy, Harvey. How does everyone feel about Harvey?
I loved him.
I
loved him.
I think you did a really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, where have I seen? I feel like where have I?
He
What
pops
do
in
you
a
think?
lot.
Yeah,
He's like the guy.
He's not in a lot, but he's kind of just like, he's always one of those guys that's just kind of in the background. He was in Olympus Has Fallen.
He's a
And
president
Thank
there.
You for Smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up. I thought the same thing. I was like, I know
What
you.
was that Alien movie he did a few years ago too? He was like, he was a Marine in an Alien movie. Like he's always like Jessica said, he's not in a bunch of stuff, but he's always like popping up every couple of years, and he's usually good too. Like he's a good actor.
Yeah, no, that's why I was surprised because I thought he did a really good job, but like I didn't even really recognize him. Like you're saying he's popped up and stuff. Like I don't know if I didn't see those movies you guys just mentioned. Like I don't know if I've even seen this guy before.
He was in
But he
Space
did-
Jam, so you didn't see that. No, I'm joking.
But yeah, he did a great job.
Do you guys feel in the movie? Because some people complain about this, and I put this in my notes. Do you buy his turn as Two-Face, or do you feel it's too quick?
I think it's too forced.
Yeah?
Or, not too forced, too quick. Like you
Yeah.
said, like it's just...
Force is the right word, I think.
Yeah, like he's just like... It's basically like he's schizophrenic. It's just like totally split personalities, which I know it's meant to be like that.
I feel
Yeah.
like the whole situation too, when you watch him kind of like lying in the oil, you can like kind of see him rubbing his face in it to like
Yeah,
kind
well,
of make
yeah.
it look like, oh, this is gonna happen. And like when he comes out and it does explode and it catches his face, I feel like it wouldn't be
Down
like
the
this
half.
even split, because if
Yeah.
you watch when he's lying in the oil, it's like he's like blowing into it and it's splashing everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was just like when it happened, I was just kind of like that.
That's just a
Yeah.
film thing. I think that's the most realistic
But
way
it
you could do
almost
it.
should have just been like you have the skin kind of
I
still
agree.
kind of going into it. Like, it's kind of peeling away.
His face shouldn't work at all. He has no eyelid, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like,
Yeah.
what would that do to you if you have no eyelid? Like, I know you couldn't
They
function.
just dry
but-
out.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, I feel like I carry an eyedropper.
Yeah.
Got his gun to the kid's head. and he's
Realistically,
like,
you
1
probably
second.
get some infections and.
Oh, big
yeah.
time. Big time. Like, that's really open wound. But
Yeah.
I think, well, with the actual face, I like, obviously, like you said, it could have been not down the half, but I actually like it because I wish it was not so maybe flesh, but I do like that it's kind of scary and whatnot. If you've seen
Well,
old
they almost
Batmans,
could
it's
have
just
done
purple.
like a skin graft and say that the skin kind of didn't take properly, and then it
Yeah.
would have not looked as kind of not fake, because it doesn't look fake, but it just looks unrealistic.
Yeah, it does, and that's where I guess that's where it comes in as like it's still a comic book movie, so they always throw like little things like that, like oh yeah, it's still a guy with half a face, you know. So they like try to make it as realistic as possible, but it is hard to make a half face guy
Yeah.
realistic. But I guess for me, I can understand people saying force. I guess it is. I don't know. I go back and forth. Sometimes I feel like it is, but then sometimes I feel like they lay the groundwork a bit in the movie where it's like, oh, he seems like he wants to do everything right, and then there's that scene in the middle where after Gordon supposedly dies, he brings whatever the psycho guy is, I can't remember his name, but he's like interrogating him and
yeah.
whatnot. And to me, that's why I feel
forgot
like it
about
wasn't
that.
forced, because they kind of lay the groundwork of like he's starting to snap,
Mhm.
like he's starting to feel the pressure of like he can't get it really done, and then at the then hours later his girlfriend dies and he loses half of his face. So I guess that's why I always bought it, because it's like, oh, he's already on the edge. But, like, he kind of gets pulled back because Rachel's like, oh, everything's going to be okay, and Batman saves the day and gets Joker. But then it's like, right when he's like, oh, we've done it, and then, like, everything goes to shit. Like, Rachel's dead, he has no face, pretty much, and he's just...
It seemed like his sanity was like based on Rachel and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the second he sees that coin and he sees the burn site, that's it, it's gone. So that's why I guess I've always bought it as, like, not so much to give a friend, I just feel like it's a mental break, and I feel like... If I put myself in that situation, I don't know if I'd be killing a bunch of people, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'd have a mental breakdown, you know? Cause, he
yeah,
trusted,
definitely.
and then eventually once he started trusting the police, those are the people that, like, tie him and Rachel
Yeah.
up. So it's like, finally, he's, like, investing in other people, and they're like, sorry,
Yeah.
with the hospital bills, you know?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that. It's
Yeah.
just like the thing that like always made me think that it was too forced was because like how you said, like he's a totally good guy, and then as soon as that happens, he just starts killing people. And
Yeah.
it's just like
And I guess the thing for me is because other than Gordon and the kids, that's where they maybe could have dived some more time, because they could explain maybe he thought Gordon was
yeah.
dirty. He does go around killing dirty cops and mobsters, though. Like,
Yeah,
they
but,
are
like, his
bad
kids
people.
and stuff. Like,
I know that's where it does. Like, that's where I go. Like, okay, he's having a
Well,
bit.
this is
Harvey's breaking down.
They
Yeah.
could have done something like, because when he's in the hospital and Gordon
Gordon's talking
comes
to him.
in and he's just like, what did you call me in the office? And he's like, say it. And it's like...
That is, I'll agree. That's kind of a little
Yeah,
forced.
it's like...
he didn't need to be called Two-Face, to be honest.
Or why wasn't that a reference earlier? Like, why aren't they in the office?
They do.
Yeah.
At the
they?
very
Yeah.
beginning, he's like, "Oh, I know what they," because they're kind of quibbing back and forth. He's like, "Oh, I know what they call me down at Eternal Affairs," and he's like, "Oh, I don't know anything about that." Like Gordon saying, like he doesn't know that people call him Two-Face.
Oh, okay.
So, I agree. Maybe they should have showed a little bit more, but it was enough for me to feel that it was forced. But I understand some people could like think that. But I think the name, yeah, maybe they should have just dropped that. That's maybe one thing that sticks up for me of like, because he's not in any other movies, so he doesn't need to be called Two-Face. Catwoman's not called Catwoman. She's just a cat burglar, and I kind of prefer it that way. Like, we know it's Catwoman, but they don't need to call her Catwoman, so.
Yeah, or even just you could leave it the same and be like, I guess that name from Internal Affairs suits me now or something. Like, it
Yeah.
was just real
Do
like...
they? I can't remember in the first one or even in this one. Do they call Scarecrow Scarecrow?
He calls himself Scarecrow, so he's like something Scarecrow.
Is that
Okay.
the guy in the beginning with the...
He has like a
The-
suit
Yeah.
and a mask.
Yeah, he's in
in
it.
the
He like
very
gets
beginning.
caught. Yeah, he gets caught in the
right
very
before the
beginning of this
hockey...
one.
He's in the
one-liner.
first one.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the first one.
Yeah.
He's like the Harvey Dent of the first one. Kind
Yeah,
of.
he's kind of like he's
The second villain.
second
Yeah.
villain, except does not get like a cool ending like Harvey. That's
Yeah.
that's where I like, and that's where I'll ask you guys: did you feel that it goes on too long, or it should end early? Because that's one other complaint. Other people love it, and like myself, I love it because the second it's over with Joker, it's kind of you have this other thing going on. It's really
Yeah.
intense
Yeah.
because I feel like if it just ends with him catching Joker, it's really anticlimactic. Then,
Yeah.
but then some people say it's like Return of the King wise, where it's like, oh, it should end it here, and then it doesn't. Like, how do you guys feel about that?
I didn't think it was too long.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, I actually really liked it because because he has his fight with the Joker, and like
Mhm.
how you said, like if that had ended there, it would have been pretty anticlimactic. But
Yeah.
then like while like that whole thing was going on, like you got to see Gordon like get the call and everything, and then he goes sees his family, and then it's like oh that goes on, and then like Batman still has to go, obviously go see Harvey and stuff.
Yeah.
And like that was intense. Like that was a great scene.
I remember the first time I saw that. That for me was one of the intense scenes I've ever seen
Yeah.
because I was really like the movie was so dark at that point. I'm like he
Yeah.
might kill this kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like he didn't know what he was gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like almost that I don't think it was dragged out too long, but you can tell that there probably should have been another scene with the Joker to tie that up. That didn't happen because
according to them, they say he filmed everything.
really.
Like he didn't get to do so much of the voiceover work after, but apparently they say Darren because that was unfortunately the first thing that everyone popped up when he passed away. Everyone was like sad. They're like, "Oh, did he finish the movie? Did he finish?" And like they all said that he did. There's deleted scenes that. There's only a couple that have creeped on YouTube and then they get pulled down and whatnot. Like there's an actual scene, I think it's still on YouTube, of when he blows up the hospital and they show him inside the bus and they do this thing where the building's exploding down and he's not even looking about it. Like to show Joker doesn't really care at all. And the whole building, all these people are dying and he's just sitting there like just looking and kind of doing his own like, Joker spastic thing. So there could be a scene, but I don't know what the scene would be because they just...
It does. If it were to end with him hanging there, it is. It's very anticlimactic. Like,
Credits.
what happened?
Yeah.
Even because you kind of go into the next one, and it's just, isn't it just no one mentions anything?
I feel
about it?
that's why. I feel that's the biggest glaring. I feel like that's why Dark Knight Rises is not as good because I feel like they left it open ended because it was like okay, in the third one he's gonna come back. They clearly set it up, and they've never said if he was gonna be in it, but he. When Joker, it's one of my favorite Batman and film lines ever, but when he's hanging there and he says, we're destined to do this forever. I love that line because it's very much like comic book superhero, like always back and forth. And that's where I felt like they dropped that line and you really feel like it was being set up for another one. Like there was even rumors that Harvey Dent was actually supposed to die and maybe there was rumors that they were going to keep him locked up and just say he died. We never know. We'll never know until like maybe 20 years later when they do like a documentary. But I feel like, and that's why I always give Dark Knight Rises a pass for kind of being not as good, is because I feel like they had a story and then he passed away, and they have to like scrap that and do a whole new story. Because
so he passed away when they were still like in the process of
post production, when they're editing and everything. He only unfortunately got to see 8 minutes of the movie. He got to see the opening bank heist, and that's all he got to see.
Okay,
which really sucks. So,
but it was a good opening.
It's great. That's another scene we're talking about intense. The Harvey Dent scene's intense. The boat scene when I saw it the first time, it's still intense when they're deciding to blow up and everything. And I like that the criminal actually throws out the thing. You like that's what I like about this movie. It doesn't just paint the bad guys as just like haha evil. Like even the mobsters, they're bad guys, but it doesn't feel like Batman's just beating them up and throwing them in jail. Like they can get out, or they can use the law system, or they look at like the Joker doesn't do that. Like he helps them, but they're a part of killing Rachel. Like the mob who are just supposed to be like lackeys, they actually do stuff in this movie. Where I feel like you look at like Avengers Age of Ultron with all those bad guys at the beginning, they just like beat them and they're just gone, right? It's like, hey, another guy's beaten. But the mob, it shows that you can't just underhandedly beat them. Like they dive into, that's my favorite theme of this thing of like all Gordon, Dent, and Batman being like, how far do we have to go to stop the mob? And that's why I like that's giving credit to normal people. Because I guarantee in this next movie, Batman vs Superman, because they're Superman, the mob's going to be nothing. The mob's just going to be in jail. He'll just beat them all up and just throw them in jail, and that'll be it, because there's a god right there. But that's why I like it. Like with that and the whole cast, I feel like everything in the movie gets a moment, and that's what I like with the boat. Is that criminal? I feel like in any other movie would be like, yeah, I want to blow up this boat, but it's like a guy in prison. He knows it's right not to blow up these innocent people, and that's what I like. And the bank scene, that's super intense. But
no, I'm supposed to shoot the bus driver.
Yeah,
the bus driver.
Yeah,
the bus driver.
It's really good, and that I remember seeing it the first time. It's just like that's intense, but it's just good because you're kind of. It's once again, it sets up this normal thing like, oh yeah, it's a bank heist, but then it turns on its head that Joker starts killing them off one by, or has told them to kill each other one by one, and that's great.
Then he's the guy.
Yeah, and then he's the guy, and especially because they're all kind of ragging on him the whole time. Like, who's this stupid guy who wears war paint or whatever?
Yeah, here he wears makeup like a clown.
Yeah, and the whole time he's like there with them, and it's really good. The only thing that I don't like, and I will, this is where I love this film, but I'll nitpick, is the bus scene, because I hate that he times it. It makes no sense. He doesn't even time it to get in the back of the bus. He like gets in the middle of the buses. Like there's all these school buses, and then he's like, shh.
And no one's like even like paying attention. It just came out of a wall.
I could get it if he timed it, but the fact that he drives through a wall. If he was just like, if there was a bus outside and then he drove it around, like you didn't see this bus came through a wall, I could kind of believe it. But wouldn't a bus driver be like, why this bus just came through a wall and it's behind us. Like, that's the only part where I'm like, that's one of those things that always sticks out for me is like, oh, like, I wish something was different there, you know?
That part bothers me as well, though. When you watch that and, like, traffic is just packed.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. But then every other scene in the movie, there's always perfect spacing in traffic for the Lamborghini or the Batmobile.
Or the scene when Batman and Joker had the face-off. Like, that's one of my favorite scenes of all time. But there's only a few cars on the road, and even though they say they clear the road, like, they said they cleared the roads, so they should either stick to the streets are entirely empty or not, like, a couple cars driving.
Yeah.
But that's a case where nobody's on the street, but then Batman and Joker... It works because that scene's so good of, like, the hit me, come on, hit me.
Yeah.
Like, that, it's so
That was a good
good.
scene.
And that's what I like with this version of Joker. And my favorite version of Joker is always the guy that makes it so even if Batman were to win, he still kind of wins. Like, Joker takes it as, like, if Batman kills me, I win. And if Batman doesn't kill me, I still kind of win because I get to mess with him.
You have to break your one rule.
Yeah, and that's what the whole thing is pushed upon. And that's why I'm a little disappointed. Like, I'm excited for Batman Superman, but I like Batman because he's a street-level guy, so he's very much like Netflix and Daredevil. He should just handle smaller stuff like this, like a Joker. Like, that's why another reason I don't like Dark Knight Rises as much as because it's about, like, oh, we're going to destroy and blow up Gotham. And anytime it's like that, it's like, okay, you know, like, to me, I like Avengers for that because it's like a team and they're going to fight aliens, but Batman, I want him to be... I find that more intriguing of this guy wants to make him kill and he just wants to stop him. And that's it. He's just a criminal who's like robbing banks and whatnot. But, yeah.
Do you think that anyone will ever step up to the role of the Joker again, really? Besides, I mean, Jared Leto's doing it, but I think it's kind of a different pacing.
Like in quality or like fan reaction? Like you think?
Well, do you think, like, because in Suicide Squad, it's more just focusing on... Like, the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
it's not so
and he's
much,
kind of there.
It's not so much the banter, but do you think any actor will step up to try and do the Joker better than Heath Ledger did?
They can try. I don't know if they're gonna. Like, this is a real thing of... Obviously, because he passed away, he's always gonna get that put up about other people. You know, like, he's kind of gonna get that sympathy. But that's what I hate. Lots of people say he wouldn't have won an award if he passed away, and I don't agree with that at all. Like, especially if you look at the awards that year, it wasn't anybody like a stand. Like, I feel like this is one of the best performances of all time. And if he was alive still and he got to do a third one, I think he would be up in that, like, Vader, like Hannibal, like when people talk about the greatest villains, he is up there, but he'd be even more because he got to do another one because he passed and it was under circumstances. I think people will try, but I think it might be after we're dead that someone will get to that much reaction. I feel like in the next 60 years, it's going to be too fresh in our minds of Heath Ledger. You know, like, I feel like once we're dead, maybe, and enough time has passed, but I feel like Leto will get good stuff, but I feel like I feel like that was too soon to have someone play the Joker. I feel like, I know it has to happen, but it was only 2008, and what this is... So we said 8 years later. So I feel like they should have gave it a bit more time. But I think they'll get a good reaction, but not to that level.
Well, I think he's going for something different, right? And
yeah.
he has to. I don't think
he does have to.
No, if anyone tries to copy Heath Ledger, there's not.
Yeah, but then I think because he's the first, even if it's really good, he's going to get it wasn't as good as Ledger's. The guy who could do it is the guy that plays it after Leto, which, you know, hopefully is somebody I cast one day. But, like, I don't think Leto will do it just because he has that circumstance of having to follow him. The next guy maybe could. Maybe in our lifetime, I'd say
well, I mean, to be fair, 8 years is quite a few years.
It is, but it's because he passed, I think. That's the main thing, because it's just that overlooming shadow of this guy. But
that's fair.
Everyone said the exact same thing. Like, you haven't seen the original Batman, but Jack Nicholson played the first Joker, and everyone, including myself, said there's no way Heath Ledger's going to do as good as Joker, because it was so high. So it's one of these things, next time when we do our Suicide Squad review, we could be like, oh, it was just as good, or maybe even better. Like, I don't know if I'll ever say it's better, because, like, I like the look, I like the character, but I think it'll be, like, a really good interpretation. But it's a really tricky thing, because he does so well with the role, and you do feel almost like Robert Downey Jr. or Hugh Jackman or now, like Reynolds and Deadpool. You feel like he's put his face on that role, and it's really hard to imagine someone else. Especially he goes on and wins an Oscar, and it's talked about all the stuff. And this is the movie, I feel like, that changed the superhero genre of making it for adults. Like, it was not a kid's movie. I've talked about this with you and other people of just, like, this is a movie that my parents or people that didn't like superheroes saw and said, like, oh, I really like this. You know, I feel like all the other movies before, you kind of had to like action movies or like geeky movies, but this was movies because it was so serious that people are actually
like a crime movie.
Yeah,
it wasn't
exactly.
Like a superhero
it's kind
movie.
of a heist crime movie with Batman in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a cop dressed as a bat pretty much, and that's where. And now there's a lot of movies that try to follow it. So I guess with the Joker, I'd say like it's a wait and see, but I feel like it won't be Leto just because it's
too new.
Yeah, too new, and people like and truthfully, I think Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn's gonna get all that. She's gonna get the love. He'll be the second tier. I think she's gonna be the poster girl for that entire franchise. I feel like he's gonna take a big backseat to her because people will kind of crap on with the Ledger thing, but they'll be like, "Oh, but she's the first Harley Quinn, and she looks like she got ripped right out of a comic book."
Yeah.
So, and every man in the world is pretty much in love with her as well.
Yeah.
So it's like all these variables that it's kind of the Heath Ledger thing. Girls love Heath Ledger after 10 Things I Hate About You. Like he was like such a heartthrob for years. So he had the girls. He didn't have me.
Knight's Tale.
And then he did Brokeback Mountain. And
Yeah, and then he kind of lost a lot of the guys, but I just didn't think because I just didn't see it. I just didn't know if he could get that intense because I had seen him in Brokeback Mountain, and like it's an intense movie, but it's like a love story intense. It's not Dark Knight intense. So I was one of those guys that I don't want him. Like
Yeah, like when the first time I ever saw the movie, I didn't even know it was Heath Ledger.
I
couldn't
forget
tell.
a lot.
Like, I know, after it was done, I saw a photo of Heath Ledger. I'm like, that's not him.
No.
Like, he looks so different.
Yeah, and
but
they-
like obviously now that I've watched it like hundreds of times,
You
not
see
hundreds
his
of times.
face. Yeah.
but like
You can't
like-
joke about that, 'cause someone has watched
Yeah,
it hundreds of
exactly.
times.
No, but like now that I've seen it a couple times, it's like when I look at him, it's like okay, I can see that's
Yeah.
Heath Ledger. But it's just like the voice was so like different, and it's just like
And the
it's just-
hair
yeah,
is greasy and like they don't
obviously
even
the makeup.
Yeah,
It's like it's the little things for me, like just the little mannerisms and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, he didn't come off as like a normal person.
and like the tongue thing.
Yeah.
The tongue thing is the best, and
Yeah.
that's he improvised
It's creepy,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing people point out a lot. There's a lot of references to dogs in this movie, like because he's like the tongue, and he makes a dog chasing cars, and Batman's always
Okay.
having to fight dogs in the movie. Like it starts with him fighting dogs, and then what does Joker have at the end? It's him
The
surrounded
same
by
dogs.
dogs.
The same dogs.
Like there's always there's like a list. I think it's like at least 50 of like all these dog references
Really?
in Dark Knight. Yeah, because people obviously watch this
Yeah.
as much as me and like have all these series, and like you might have seen it and maybe you might have, but there's like this big theory about like how Joker's really the hero in the movie and
Yeah.
whatnot, and so it's a very I don't know if I wouldn't go that far, but I thought because it was a Facebook thing that went
Yeah.
around the summer of like why he's like
Like
the
Jar
actual
Jar
hero.
being a...
Kind of
you beat me to the punch.
yeah,
I was
it's like that, like why Joker's actually, because at the end of the day, people point out like he kind of just kills the dirty cops, and at the end of the day, he takes out the mobsters, he burns all the mobs' money. That's one of the best things, and that's why I love the Joker, because it's just he's very unpredictable, but at the same time he's like a man with a plan. That's where everyone likes their own version of Joker, but that's why I like my Joker is he kind of acts crazy, but at the end of the day, he really knows what's going on. Like, it's just a facade, because you look at that, when he walks in that mob scene, they're all kind of taken aback, and they call him a freak and whatnot. They don't know what to do with it. But I feel like at the end of the day, you see what he does in the movie. There's no way he's just making this up as he goes along.
Yeah.
Like, everything is strategically planned, and it usually goes right, except for the boat thing. He thought everyone was going to kill himself, like, kill each other, and they didn't, and that's obviously his downfall. But were you thrown off by the separate origins he was giving himself throughout the movie?
What do you mean?
He tells two different stories of how he became the Joker. Did you realize that in your first watch?
No.
Okay.
First time I watched it, I noticed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I did. What is it?
So the first time when
I
they
got the
do that
scars.
whole
Excuse me.
when he brings them into the pool scene or whatever, and they all like the best scene of like tryouts, and he breaks the cues like
Yeah.
what is that?
Pool
Pool
cue?
cue.
Cue. Yeah, it is just a cue. But when he's talking to Gamble, he talks about his drunk father,
Oh,
like
yeah,
beating his
okay,
mother and whatnot.
yeah.
But then later on in the movie with Rachel, he says that he did it because his wife
Okay,
gambled
yeah,
with
yeah.
the sharks, and they carved her face, so he carved his own face to make her happy, and then she like left him. So that's what I like.
What was your original question with that? Because I did.
Oh, I was just asking if you noticed, but
I was
you
actually
didn't.
going to bring up and ask what the original story was.
In this movie, we'll never know, and I
Yeah.
think he just makes it up for that, like his cinematic. Like I feel
Did
like he
make those up? Like, actually, were those improv?
Oh no, like those were in the script, but I feel like the character makes it up depending on the person he's talking to, like to portray to them. Like it's not anywhere in the comics. The comics he falls in a vat of chemicals and he's bleached white, so they didn't do that. But that's what I like too with this character, and I even feel like with the first one, the thing that happens with the Joker, there is like a level of mystique about him the whole time, like the whole thing you don't know what he's doing, and the origins. That was one of the things I really liked.
Well, even like they're like, oh yeah, like his fingerprints are. Like,
yeah, he's like
unidentifiable.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like this weird anomaly.
He made all his own clothes. There's no labels.
Yeah, and it's like how did this guy? Like, that's what I like. Like how does this guy exist? You know, and that's I'm trying to think of. Oh, I had something cool to say, but I'll just jump to my next thing of like I think that comes to an ultimate head, and I think I don't think I know my favorite scene of all time in any movie is the interrogation scene.
Oh yeah.
And to me, that is, if I ever want to show anybody, if they didn't even watch the whole movie, if I showed them a YouTube clip like, this is what Batman is and this is what Joker is, and it's flawlessly acted by both of them, and Heath Ledger's so good in it, and then just the way it ends it's a perfect example of the Joker when Batman's beating him, and he's like, you got nothing, like, you can't hurt me with anything, and because he knows he's not going to kill him, and even if he did, he win, and he's like, you can't do anything, and that's what I like, that he still tells them,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day,
you can't do anything with all the strength that you have.
yeah, but at the end of the day, he switches it up and lets them die, so, I'm trying to think, I guess we talked about Ledger a lot. Does anyone like Morgan Freeman?
Absolutely.
He's good. I think that's what.
Best scene though for sure when the guy comes up with the blueprint of the Batmobile.
Yeah.
He's like, I want 10 million for every year for the rest of my life. He's like, let me get this straight.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You
there's
wanna
the
blackmail,
richest guy in
yeah.
the city who you think is a vigilante that beats people up in the middle of the night, and you're gonna blackmail him.
Yeah.
Just like, good
That
luck.
was a good scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I like about the movie overall, and I hope other ones have that. That Morgan Freeman is not in the movie that much, but
Yeah.
they went and got a good
Yeah, I
actor.
feel like he was in the first one more than this one.
Oh yeah, for sure, and he's
Yeah.
not that much in the third one at all. But like anytime he's in there, obviously because Morgan Freeman, it's important, but it feels important. It feels good. It doesn't, and every character kind of has their own story. Like that's his story. He's kind of dealing with this guy,
Yeah.
blackmailing him, and some people, a fan theory is he's Riddler. They just never call him Riddler because his name is Mr. Reese. Mr. Reese. So yeah, so that's like a little like that was our version of the Riddler. So, were you gonna say something?
Riddler.
Yeah, Mr.
I was
Reese.
gonna
Yeah,
jump on. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, back to the interview.
the interrogation.
Interview. Yeah,
the
interview.
interrogation. So Batman.
Yeah, no, that scene back when we were talking about the voice. Like after watching it a couple times, like Batman's voice, I felt like after obviously you watch it a bunch of times, it kind of gets like a little, I don't know, not really annoying, just like.
Too much?
Yeah, kind of. But like,
because he's having to yell.
Yeah,
it comes out.
But like that's what I was gonna say. Like in the interrogation scene, like that's actually scary. Like
Yeah.
he's like screaming at him, and it's like for a normal person, like you'd be really like shocked.
And that's why I love that because you get this. I feel like with anybody else that would work, and that's where Batman does. Other than like I agree with the voice kind of it doesn't get high, but there's something about it when he yells, but it's still scary for me. And when he's just beating down on him, and I love when Gordon runs and he tries to get the door and Batman just locks it, and that's that. Oh, I remember seeing that the first time, like and that was when the time the theater was like and like Batman because he just keeps going and he just flips him, and then Joker's constantly like making jokes about Rachel and Harvey Dent about like her being a little bunny and stuff like that, and saying like, oh, I thought you were Harvey, so
yeah, that was good. When you were talking about characters, I wanted to say like even Alfred was awesome.
Very
good.
Alfred.
Yeah.
Forget his actual name.
guy.
Michael Caine.
Yeah, Michael Caine.
Yeah.
He was
That guy's
just
great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I like, that he gets his own little story with Rachel as far as like the note and whatnot, and yeah,
I like
that's about it.
I like it when he was talking about the bandit that just like
stole the rubies and throwing them away,
and then like that whole scene I was saying, like some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah,
it's just like
and
so good.
Yeah, and it's like and that's one thing I put in. I'm looking at my notes now. The whole movie is really well written, and there's between this and Dark Knight Rises. And I know lots of people do it as a joke for Batman, but there's so much quotable stuff. Like and that Watch World Burn is one of the most ones. Like we talk about Why So Serious as well, but like Watch World Burn, especially because that sets up the Joker's character perfectly. Like what a perfect way to describe it, because you hear that and you're like if there was a criminal right now, someone to describe it, I'd be like, oh, we're in big trouble, because there's this guy like kind of just doing shit for the sake of doing shit. Like
exactly.
He's having fun. Destroying things, like the same thing. Like he has all that mob money. What does he do? He burns it all, and then he kills the mobsters. So like he feeds them to the dogs. Like he's just kind of going all over. But it's just he's just having fun. The hospital. He doesn't really need to blow up the hospital, but like it's for fun,
Exactly.
And then the same thing as with Harvey. He's like he does need to do that to Harvey, but it's more just a curiosity of like what happens if I turn this guy and can get him so high, not in the drug sense, but like just high or just force that breakdown, because that breakdown and that's the thing where I also feel why it's not as forced, because I feel like in his weakest moment, who's one of the people that gets the most time with him? Like Gordon clearly doesn't work, like because he tries to talk to him, that doesn't go well. But Joker, that's why I feel like it's not forced, because he kind of twists his mind a bit, and he
manipulating.
Yeah, and the line of once again talking about the writing, like I'm a dog chasing cars. You feel like Harvey Dent buys that of like, yeah, this guy wouldn't do any of this. He's super crazy. It's all mobs and the cops fall and everything. And Joker, once again, like, it feels like he's the cause of all these problems, but he always gets off scot-free in a way, except he goes to prison, obviously, and I'm sure he's in prison still. But, yeah, so.
Arkham.
Yeah, somewhere.
One thing I'll throw while you're looking at your notes that I don't like, and I get that it's like the movie.
What? No.
It is a style, and like lots of movies do it, and it bothers me every movie. But it's one of those movies that has really quiet talking and really loud sound effects.
Oh, I'll agree 100%. That's
Yeah.
my biggest complaint. Is like always turning up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be you gotta have the remote in your hand.
Yeah, I watched it this morning. I turned it on. And both my cats are like sleeping in bed, and I like can't hear it. So I like start turning it up, and all of a sudden something explodes, and both my cats jump up and run out of the room, and I'm just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So then I start turning it back down, and it's just the whole time.
Especially the
Are we
bank
not
heist.
swearing on this one?
What?
So you look at the time.
No, I was just looking at the time.
Okay.
We're all
Yeah.
explicit.
No, I
No, I noticed that too, and I like just at the very beginning, there was like nothing. I feel like there was no volume for like the first like 2 minutes.
It's
or something.
not because it's just the shot of all the buildings.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
turned it up,
Yeah,
and
so
I
you
heard
turn
like
it
a
up.
little something, so I turned up like a
then
bunch.
break
but I couldn't
the
hear
window.
anything.
Yeah, that window. Like,
It's like Jesus, I had to turn it down right away.
I think that's a problem in lots of movies. Like Inception has that too. I feel like Nolan needs to tone back. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen Interstellar, but
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
complain a lot about that. And I agree. I love during it, but I even said that to our secretary last night. I'm like, this movie's so fucking loud. Like, especially when you're watching during the daytime. If nothing's going on, you're fine. But if you're
Yeah.
watching it anytime, you don't want to wake someone up or help them to sleep. Like,
or
that's not the movie.
You're in an apartment or something, and you got other people that live above or below you, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it just starts. If you got like a sound system, your whole house just starts vibrating, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying, it's never like loud and then back to quiet. It's always mixed in the middle. Like
Yeah.
even the bank heist scene, when the actual criminals talk, it's pretty quiet. But then whenever they shoot anything, like those are some of the loudest gunshots I've ever heard in like film or game. They're just like they sound like a huge rock. Like that's one thing I remember in the theater. I got so scared is when he did the interrogation with the fake Batman. And when he's in the Harvey Dent is in the office talking to the mayor. When I saw in the theater when Batman swings down and hits the glass and it's like real Batman stand up, that scared the shit out of me in the theater because it was so loud. It's like and like even now I know about it, but it's one of my favorite things. Not anymore because most people have seen it, but like at Christmas people didn't know, so I'd like turn it up or like watch around like just to scare
Just
people.
looking at people's faces. Not
Yeah,
even
and
watching the movie.
it's so good. But it's so loud. And the other one that's really loud is when right before they go after Harvey. When he says he's Batman, which I love. I love that he like tries to outplay the Joker and then he gets outplayed again. But like he's in the car and like the cop stops the big truck that Joker's in. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to move along." And then when Joker like pops out and shoots the cop right away.
Oh,
if you remember that? Yeah, like he's talking to this guy and it's just like a random guy in a cowboy hat, but then the Joker pops up and shoots him and it's so loud. But I was gonna go back to saying that I love that interrogation scene of Joker and the fake. I just want to talk about the loud noises before I moved on.
Yeah.
But the interrogation scene with that fake Batman to me is one of the scariest things because I love that he's all jokey and whatnot, and then when he won't look at him, and he's like, "Look at me," and like and then they just do this perfect thing where it's just like 10 seconds of silence and it's just camera, and then he comes back and he's like, "Oh, this is how like he's sad," but like that's how you can see like maybe. I think he does have a plan, but you can see that he is psychologically like messed up because he gets mad at just this guy for not looking at him. There's something in him that like he just wants to be in control, you know. And he's almost like that's why I always feel like he's a reverse Batman. Batman always loves being in control and knowing what the situation is, and that's kind of Joker in a way. Like he likes it in a chaos control, and I've just always loved that. I just feel like Heath Ledger's completely scary in that scene. Like he's scary in a lot of the movie, but like that scene in general, he's just like slapping him and he's petting him, and it's just like this really crazy. Even when he talks to Rachel later on with the knife, I love that if you look at his hand, he kind of has her hair twisted up in his hand. He's not just holding her hair, like it's twisted around his hand and he's holding it. So it's like, one, I give kudos to the actors of being like her being like, yeah, like twist my hair like that. Like so that could have been like just little things like that is what makes the scene better. If he's just interrogating a guy, oh yeah, cool, but him like doing all this stuff, messing with them, is just like the little things that are added.
In that scene too, it kind of shows you that if like he's in control, he kind of calms down because he like has the one hand on the back of her head and then one on the side holding the knife. Mm-hmm. And if she calms down, he kind of takes that hand away and just holds the knife. But as soon as she moves, he like puts that hand back onto the side of her head.
Yeah.
So I was watching that scene this morning. So
yeah, and I think that's just why he's just so good. It's just those little things. Like it is like I know like, and that's why I try not to just talk as Ledger because like a lot of people say this about the movie and I'll disagree. They say like, oh, it's just it's just Ledger's movie, and if you take him out, it's a bad movie. I'll disagree, because I like the stuff. Like, that's why I still like the ending with Harvey. I still like Batman. Bale, for me, is my Batman, and I miss him. I wish he was like Robert Downey or Hugh Jackman and played this for like another 10 years. You know, like, I'm happy Ben Affleck's there, but if Bale was in Batman vs Superman, I wouldn't care about all like this like negative. I'd just be like, oh, but Bale's back.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And he just like,
why didn't Bale take it?
because he'll never do one without Nolan. They're like they're blood brothers.
They're
Not,
pals.
yeah, exactly. They're not going anywhere. He says maybe one day if we do another one, come back. The rumor is they offered him $50 million to come back, and he turned it down. That's just a rumor, and he said no, but that's a rumor, and because that's what Downey gets paid for Avengers. So they're like, give him the Downey deal. And even then,
The
he's like,
Downey
the
deal.
Downey- that's literally what it's called in Hollywood. Before it was the Nicholson deal, because he got paid that much for the original Batman to play Joker. He got paid more than Keaton, and it was like a huge deal for him to be in like. Back then in the 80s, a comic book movie was like looked upon as like, this is a big risk. So he got paid a lot. So it was always the Nicholson deal, and now actors want the Downey deal of like bunch of pictures, a fee, and then merchandise rights, and like same thing like with Civil War, because he's in it. He gets paid his flat fee, and then if it makes above what Winter Soldier made, he gets paid more. Because his case says, oh, I was in it, so I helped the income, right? So he has a great team around him of lawyers, and like he's a really smart guy, and that's why. But like, obviously Bale, he doesn't need the money, but there's a part of me that wish he would have took it.
Oh,
like,
I just love that actor.
Yeah,
so much.
and I know it wouldn't have made any sense, and I've talked about this with other people. I know it wouldn't have made any sense to be in this real world, and then like sudden Superman comes in, but like I feel like that's the only problem that. Well, not the only problem. There's a lot of problems maybe with Batman vs Superman, but that's one thing that people point out is right away we're just getting a new Batman with nothing to know. And imagine in that same trailer if all the buildings are falling down and you look down and it's like, I'm getting goosebumps. It's Christian Bale's Batman, and he's looking at all these buildings because you'd have that connection with him. Where Ben Affleck, I think he's gonna do good, but we don't have a connection with him yet at all.
It's
So
like a whole new thing.
Yeah.
It's so separate.
where with Bale, we've had 3 films with him and his Alfred and everything like that.
Does
And
Batman vs Superman take place in Gotham?
it takes place in both Gotham and Metropolis.
Oh,
in
really?
the
Okay.
Are they close together?
In the movie, they're across
Yeah.
the bay from one another,
okay,
which is
that's
not
pretty
supposed.
lame.
It's supposed
Yeah,
to
it's
be
pretty
like
convenient.
it's supposed to be like New York and then
That's pretty
Chicago.
convenient. Yeah.
But in this, it's literally, and that's what I hate because it's like, this makes me not like Superman at all. It's just like, so he's so close to Gotham, and literally it's supposed to be like Metropolis, super nice city, and then Gotham's like super shit. And it's like Superman, you're like literally 1.1 second away from Gotham. Like you can't help him with the Joker, you can't help him with all these villains, and like that's what I don't like. Like even if it was further away, Superman could still get there in 30 seconds, but still it's more of an idea of like, you know what, he's busy with his town or his city.
Or the same thing, like Batman looks across the bay and all these like buildings are falling, and they see like Superman and it's not
Zod?
Captain. Ew.
General Zod.
General.
General
Ugh, every
Zod.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like see them like fighting, and Batman would just be like, "Well, shit, what's going on over there? Oh, I better just go do my own shit."
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it's good that he has to be there, but like you. So yeah, if that point, if he's in Wayne Tower and he sees that going on, is he just like, oh, Clark got it, or like somebody has it, you know? So that's why I don't like it being. I think they just did it for like a filming thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's gonna be easier. So
Pretty sure this is another hashtag unpopular opinion, but I actually am really excited for Jesse Eisenberg as Luthor.
the rumor is, for the people that have seen it, the 2 best parts about the movie are Ben Affleck and Jesse Eisenberg.
I really like Jesse Eisenberg a lot. So everything
I like him too. I feel like
Everything
it's a
I've
weird
seen
thing
him
though.
in.
Everyone hates on him.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just
why.
'cause
That's what I hear at least.
It's because it's
Who
just
is he again?
he's Lex Luthor,
Who is he?
Superman's main villain.
He's in The Social Network. He's in Zombie.
Oh, you're
Oh,
talking about the
okay.
actor or the
I
villain?
didn't think that was Lex Luthor. I thought that was.
No, he still got hair
that was
in the
Brainiac.
commercials.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, it's. I don't think they're hating on him as an actor. I think they're just hating on him for the choice. Because
No,
literally,
I feel like I've just heard like just people in my everyday life just
Oh,
like,
really?
oh, I don't like that guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I find that he's. That's why I said it's probably a very unpopular opinion because I actually like Jesse Eisenberg.
I like him.
I like the actor.
I like him, and I'll see how he does in the role. I just with the comics, he's literally kind of, in my opinion, supposed to be like The Rock. Like he's the super buff guy, and he's so charismatic. Like he's supposed to be this guy who just like makes. He's like reverse Bruce of like. Because Lex Luthor's actually a bad guy. He's super nice. You'd be like, he'd never do anything like this. It's like, it's pretty much like if Obama was sorry, this is not getting political, but if Obama was like super nice guy, but then in secretly he's a villain, and then Donald Trump was secretly Batman. Like, Bruce Wayne is kind of supposed to be like Donald Trump. Not as bad, not racist, but like he's supposed to be it's true. That Bruce Wayne's not racist. He loves all races. But like he's that much of a dick. And that's why Luthor to me, and we'll see with Eisenberg, but he comes off as a good actor and kind of a nice guy, but he doesn't come off as the guy that it could.
He's not your vision of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, and he couldn't
that's
capitalize a
same with me,
nation
yeah.
of like to me he should almost be Obama. He needs to be somebody that charismatic and that cool and somebody you want to have a beer with. I don't drink, but I wouldn't want to have a beer with Jesse Eisenberg per se. I would because I think he's a cool enough guy, but as like, oh man, he's cool. Like he ain't no man crush though. He's no Fassbender or Christian
Rock.
Bale. Yeah, he's
Okay,
no Rock.
This is kind of getting really off topic. But
Last one, then we'll go back. 'Cause
We
I got all.
We haven't talked about the movie in a minute.
I got all my points out about the movie, so we can close home
Alright.
in a second anyway. So
how did you feel about the Lek that they had in Smallville then?
good.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch all Smallville, but he was good. He was bald. He looked the part, and he like kind of had like
so,
he was
so
nice.
the problem that Jesse Eisenberg still has hair is a problem for you?
No, he won't have hair. He's gonna shave it, so that I know. They already
Well,
released
he loses
photos.
it in like a. It's supposed to be like a chemical thing, isn't it?
It's supposed to be kryptonite. It's supposed to be like he gets the kryptonite, but while he's playing with it, he exposes himself too much and he loses his hair. I'm not sure if they'll do that route, but they probably will. But no, like the ball. I just mean like the look. He had the look. He was kind of a bit more stern, and he came off as charismatic, but kind of a dick at the same time when he was behind the scenes. So we'll see. I just worry Jesse Eisenberg is just going to be too... I don't like what he's kind of doing in the trailer. He's just kind of too squirrely, and I hope there's a progression like kind of evil and whatnot. Like, he doesn't come off as somebody even in public I'd like. He comes off as annoying, and that's what I don't like. In public, he should be super chill, cool, good dude, but he's just like, oh, Bruce, oh, Clark, oh, it's so good to see you. Oh, your hand, it really hurts me when I shake it. Like, that's a writing thing. I hate that line when he shakes Clark's hand. He's like, oh, you weren't going to fight with this guy. It's like... What are we in the 60s? Like, that's a Batman 66 line. If like, I shake a hand and it's like, oh, don't fight this guy. It's like, why are you saying this in public? You know, like, so. The Dark Knight.
Rant over.
yeah.
Does he know?
Well, we'll find out. I think he does,
Then
but
maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's like.
but then he shouldn't let anyone else know.
Why?
I don't know.
Why not?
Because it's
Batman's not his.
He doesn't know
Like-
who Batman is.
what? I hope not. Oh, nobody should know except for probably Clark.
Oh
'Cause
wait,
Clark
was he
cheats in-
shaking Superman's hand?
Yeah, he's.
Oh, okay. Never
Yeah.
mind. Sorry, I thought he was shaking Batman's hand. I was like, oh, maybe
No,
he's like.
he's shaking Clark's hand. Who, in this day and age, we're still going with the whole, like, oh yeah, no one knows this is Superman because
though-
he has glasses on.
Yeah.
The super good-looking British guy, that's Superman. We don't know that Clark Kent. Like, he's so...
Super rare.
He's huge!
Yeah.
He's huge in the movie. When he's in a suit in that trailer, he's fucking huge. Like, yeah. So I think that's why in the movie they kind of make it seem like Batman knows right away. And I think they will do that. They'll make everyone else seem dumb and Batman will be like, you're totally Superman. Like, there's no way you're not Superman. Because he knows in that scene, so... Yeah. Last thing I was going to say about the movie, I love the score. It's really intense.
Oh, of course.
It sets the tone the whole way. When Joker's on it, always very scary, very scattery tone, and it just, like, puts you on edge. And, yeah. Overall thoughts, if anyone, unless you have any more points?
I don't know. One thing, too, that I actually... Thinking back on it, I really enjoyed watching is the scene when they do arrest him and he's just sitting in the jail cell and everyone else is like fighting and the one guy is just like complaining about his stomach and he just sits there and he just like watches and there's one point where he just kind of slightly smiles and then
Yeah, he,
he's like,
like-
no, and he goes back to like being
Yeah, he,
straight
like-
faced.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that scene was like really awesome. Kind of just showed the,
Mm.
you know, you can tell there's something going on in his mind because that smile and then it's like, oh shit, no, like don't smile.
Yeah,
So
and
that
it,
was a good scene.
yeah, I like that too because it shows like he should be the one in there being all kind of crazy and radical, but then as like a character, if you walk and you see him just sitting there, you're kind of like, what the fuck? Like we can't get a handle on this guy at all. Like he has like there's no way of telling really what's going on and
Let's be honest though, if there's a guy complaining that
his stomach
something,
hurts.
yeah, there's something in his stomach and it hurts. You know, either one, he's gonna lift up his fucking shirt and look, or two, they're gonna be like, "Hey, well, we'll get a paramedic to look at you."
Well, the reason they don't get a paramedic is because he killed a cop. The cop says that to him, so they're like letting him suffer because he's like, I don't care, we're not gonna help no cop killer. So it's kind of that like
But-
blue blood, like fuck this guy.
I feel like he would like either touch his stomach and be like, "Oh shit, there's something going on," and lift up his shirt. But,
Texting on his stomach.
yeah, something.
I feel like he wasn't the most sane guy, so I'll give him a pass. But no, I see
Yeah,
what you
well,
mean.
he was gonna have the voices replaced by shiny lights.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's pretty good.
anyway, yeah.
I don't know. When I was watching that, I didn't think it was that weird for them to not care about him.
No,
He seemed like a scumbag, and they were just like, whatever. This guy's hurting. That doesn't matter.
I guess
Yeah.
nursing school is warping my mind.
Yeah, maybe.
And then,
Jessica just wants to get in there and
Yeah.
see what's wrong
Yeah.
with him.
and then one of the scenes, just while we're in that area, I love when he coaxed the cop into like fighting him, and he talks about like how his friends are
Yeah, you wanna
coward
know
and
which
he
one's
killed
a
them.
coward?
Yeah, and it's so good because you see the cop like slowly just like I'm gonna beat this guy like if he keeps talking, and then he does, and then the next scene you see him Joker's like apprehend
I
him.
just want my one phone call.
Yeah, he has the glass up too, and I like if you look later on in the movie that same cop has a little scar on his throat, like he has like a bandage,
Yeah,
and then he
cool.
has like a little thing, so they keep the continuity because a lot of stuff in movie. Because when he has the glass, he's bleeding, so the next day you see him, if it was gone, you'd be like,
Yeah, that's actually that kind of reminded me of like the Joker's like face paint and stuff.
Mhm.
I felt like the continuity of that was always really good.
Yeah.
like it was wearing off, and then eventually he would
Especially in
reapply
the
it, and it
jail,
would just
'cause in the
slowly
jail-
decay a little bit.
in the jail, Batman's beating him, and it's almost gone.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's where you can't see it's Ledger because like his bottom chin is all white, like his skin color and this and that, and then the next time you see him like the day after, it's like looks like he's refreshed
Yeah.
and got it. So yeah, I've always liked that of like you see the progression, and like you said, that must be really hard unless they shot it in order, but still.
Yeah,
Like to keep someone like, oh, easy, like make sure he has a cut, but make sure your paint is like half worn off, or like they must have done a lot of tests of like this is what he fully looks like when it's on, this is what it looks like when he's like sweating, this is what he looks like,
Yeah.
whatnot. And I do like in the movie it's very quick, but you do get the shot of him without the whole makeup
Yeah.
when he kills Gordon. Did you
that
know that was
scene's
him?
so good.
I don't remember.
In the
Just
funeral,
dressed
which
up like cops.
I love the funeral when the shot goes off
Oh,
and
right,
they get
yeah,
that shot
yeah,
of all
yeah,
the
yeah.
cops running away.
when they're
That's
doing
good.
like that ceremony
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
And you
yeah.
get that like side shot of him.
Yeah, he
You
turns
just
it.
like see all the scars coming up
Yeah.
without the makeup covering them.
And I love that. Except I don't know how no one else would have noticed that. That's my only, I guess, nitpick thing, like the bus thing of like, first of all, who is this guy? Like, I don't
Yeah.
recognize him, and like, what the fuck happened to his
Yeah,
face?
it's like what? Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, because he had the schizo guy beside him on the one side, right?
true. So he
So
could have had people around him. I just would have been
Exactly.
like, imagine a kid being
Well,
like,
remember like Bruce Wayne, Christian Bale when he went up in the apartment? Like there's a bunch of guys with no uniform.
that's
So,
true. There's more than
yeah.
just the two. Yeah, you're right. So it's probably a bunch of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. And I like that's a little thing. Even when he says to Rachel, and there he disguises his voice when he's not.
Yeah, I
That's
like
the
that,
thing
yeah.
on. I like that. And even when Rachel and he puts out hard, which I love. Like, what are you doing? And he's like
Yeah,
choking everybody up.
that was funny.
And then he's like, even then he's like disguising his voice because I like that he's almost like he is an actor, but he's getting ready of like, okay, like I gotta turn the Batman. The second action starts, he's Batman, you know. And then I like the what is it, the safe room scene where like, oh, you
Yeah.
got a safe room or whatever. And
Yeah.
he's
You
like,
gotta be kidding me.
yeah, and they're like getting all dressed, and he just like leaves. And I love when he takes apart the gun. I just like I literally could break down every
Yeah.
minute and be like, I love this, I love
Yeah.
this. Like, I guess that's my overall. Like, I love this movie. I watch
Oh,
it a
absolutely,
lot.
Yeah.
It's a
It's your
10 out of
favorite
10.
movie of all time?
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. It's 11 out of 10. It's 100 out of 10. Like it's I can't praise
100
it.
out of 10.
I can't praise. I can't
Is
praise
that
it.
1% for every time you've seen it?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I can't praise it enough, and this is the same thing of me because this is retrospective, and that's why we talk about Batman vs Superman because this has a lot to do with it and the superhero genre. If this movie didn't exist, a lot of the things that we're getting right now wouldn't be happening. A lot of people being like, "Oh, Guardians should be nominated for an Oscar." This or that. That would not be happening. Like this is the first comic movie to win a real Oscar, and I don't take away from visual effects, but I mean like. It's in the top 6 of like Heath Ledger won a fucking Oscar, and like this is an Academy Award winning movie, and it almost was nominated for Best Picture. I still think it should have won because
What
no
did
one
win that year?
Slumdog Millionaire, which no one talks about. So I sometimes, and some people might say it's a better movie. I always like movies, and that's why I'm a big thing with Mad Max is I always like movies winning that change the landscape because you can always get a great movie, but movies that change a genre, and Dark Knight did that. That put its stamp, and most everyone, I'd say, I would highly say maybe 85-9%. If you ask somebody, Dark Knight is in their top 5 for comic movies, or it's their number 1. And like you said, you hadn't seen it, but you've heard it so much for so many years because
Yeah.
it is that movie that.
Well, like even just talking about like the quotes and stuff.
Mhm.
Like there's so many of these quotes that I've already heard.
Yeah,
Other
and you're
people.
yeah, and that's what I mean. It's huge. Like it's just like a movie that I feel like it's. I wasn't alive for it, or I was very young, but the way people talked about Jurassic World
Mhm.
in a way, like it's one of those movies that I feel like in the next 20 to 50 years it's still talked about. Where we have all these comic movies that are always great, and like, and maybe Deadpool might be too because it changed a genre a bit too, but I feel like only few movies come along that change the entire scope of something. And superhero genre is huge. It's its own genre. It's not like, oh, we get these. It's like this year we're getting 7 movies. 8 if you count Ninja Turtles. Like that's nuts, you know. And I
Yeah.
feel like they all, especially look at the new Spider-Mans, they try to be dark. And anytime they try to be dark, you get this sense of like they're never going to be as good as Dark Knight. And that's why for Batman vs Superman, it might not be as great. I'm hoping it's good, but that's why I'm never too sad because I feel like I got my trilogy of like perfect Batman anyway for me, and that's why I'm like I want every Batman to be good, but I don't know if it's ever gonna be as good, you know. So that's why I think of like I always try to set my standards low because it's like I kind of had my 10 out of 10, and yeah, so
You're 100 out of 10.
100 out of 10.
100 out of 10.
Any overall thoughts still as we go around?
I don't know what rating I'd give it, but
Yeah,
it's a great
that's
movie.
fine.
And definitely.
You gave it a 1 on Netflix.
Just to mess with you.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna rewatch it
Yeah.
probably soon.
You gotta watch Dark Knight Rises and tell us what you think.
That's true,
too.
actually. I guess
It's
I gotta
still
finish
really-
the trilogy first.
It's still really good.
I've only seen it once, so I definitely do want to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's still really good, but it's not this level, you know.
Mhm.
But like I said, I always take it as I feel like there's a different movie they're gonna make, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, what should we do now? So, Kirkland,
It was already number 1 on my top 10 movie list,
Yeah,
so
it's true.
it's definitely
It's
my
true.
definitely my favorite movie.
Mhm.
I don't really know. I don't have to. I could talk about it all day, like you said.
Oh yeah, I want them to do like a live stream 24-hour cast. I'll just talk about the Dark Knight
Yeah,
one day.
but yeah, I love it. Just
Yeah.
and like
I'll tune in for like half an hour.
We should do a 24-hour cast one time. Like
We could
of
do it for
live
charity.
streaming and whatnot. Yeah,
Charity.
we should one time.
People
Yeah.
do that.
Maybe
But
this summer.
just touching on what I was gonna say, like just thinking about like the acting that Heath Ledger did, it's just like when you look at it, like it's not Heath Ledger, like he's that character, like
Yeah.
he's the Joker.
You're watching the
Yeah, and
Joker.
it's like he deserved the Oscar, like it was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah,
So
good with like 7 O's.
I found this thing on
Seven
Twitter. They have GIFs now, and there's that so good. I just found accidentally of James Franco in Spider-Man 3, and he says so good. I'm not sure if anyone's seen the movie, but it's like it's really good.
That's
It's
awesome.
so
Yeah, I
good.
haven't seen it.
Jessica, overall thoughts?
Like I said in the beginning, the hype's definitely kind of gone down for me since
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah, it's
But-
been a while. It's been a good minute.
It's been a
You know,
hot
it's one of those ones that it is worth at least seeing. It's
Yeah.
you know, it is one of those like there's superhero movies where I've seen it and people are like, "Oh, should I watch it?" And it's like, "Don't
You could
don't
miss it.
yeah."
Batman
it-
66.
So
Hey,
I feel
Do
like
you
you
have
should
to
watch.
see it?
I think that movie is worth a watch.
I think it's worth it in the sense of like to see how far it's come.
It's
Yeah.
Watch it
entertaining,
with
to say
other
the
people
least.
though.
Yeah,
Make
watch it
fun
with
of
other
it.
people.
Bat ladder.
anyway, it is a good movie and it's definitely one that if you haven't seen, you should see. Yeah, I don't really have a rating for it though. But before we sign off and before I'm finished, I will throw out there #Save Hannibal.
Nice.
Of course,
Ken.
of course.
I don't know if you guys have been doing it for the other retrospectives, but if you
I
haven't,
think the ones Dylan's been on.
okay, good,
I usually remember.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So, does anyone want to play the role of Taylor?
You can find us on Facebook, GeekVerse Podcast,
Thank you.
Twitter,
Yes,
@GeekVerse
Twitter,
Cast.
SoundCloud for all your playlists for Batman Retrospective. Boom, it's all there. Star Wars commentary tracks. Boom, everything like that. So yeah, anything you want. Got video games reviews. It's all nice and fresh there. iTunes, you subscribe.
Definitely like us on Facebook because Taylor's like dying inside that Travis is totally destroying. For
At the time of this
followers on
recording,
Twitter.
I'm at 126. So
Yeah, we're only at
Nice.
52 on Facebook. So
yeah, so we'll see. But yes, subscribe. We got GeekVerse episodes every Saturday, and then specials every here and there. So take care, and I don't know, bat on.
Bat on.
I've never said that, but
Bat
I just
on.
said it now. Like walk on.
That's
bat on.
terrible.
Well, that's how it ends.
it wasn't the podcast
Bat
they
on.
needed, but it was the podcast they deserved.
There you go.